Whether you're fasting or unintentionally skipping meals on busy days, staying focused suddenly feels harder than it should. You might think it's just hunger, but more often, it's something else damaging your productivity. I'm Salim, a practicing medical doctor living in London, and on top of fasting, I've had times where I missed meals because work got too busy. But I figured out how to stay focused even when I'm without water or food for most of the day, so that I can get on with doing what's important. And in this video, I'll share 6 strategies that let you do the same, both for fasting or busy, stressful days. And each strategy targets a different problem, so just skip to the next point if one hasn't worked for you before. So the first thing that actually changes when you're fasting isn't discipline or motivation, it's how much margin your brain has to work with. On normal days, when you're eating well and feel relatively fresh, you can get away with a lot. You can sit down with a vague plan, jump between tabs, check your phone, and still somehow push through. But when energy drops from fasting, stress, or long work days, that mental margin disappears. Every small problem becomes obvious. The task feels unclear, starting feels heavier, and focus slips almost instantly. But most people interpret this as, I can't focus because I'm fasting or hungry. But what's really happening is that fasting removes your ability to brute force bad focus habits. It highlights how the setup you were using before was never that clean, and you're just compensating with extra energy. I noticed this on busy hospital days and back in med school. When I was eating well, I could force work through vague plans. But the moment I skipped meals, that exact approach stopped working. Anything unclear didn't get done, and anything open-ended felt impossible to start. And this matters because it explains the rest of the video. But the first thing to realize is that fasting needs more precision, a clearer structure, and better focused design. That means defining one clear task before you sit down, deciding in advance what done looks like, and removing choices in the first few minutes. Because when energy is low, clarity does more for focus than willpower ever will. And once you understand that, the rest of the fixes start to make a lot more sense. And this follows a problem all of us have had. You might realize that once your energy drops, your focus becomes far more sensitive to instability. Small ups and downs you'd normally ignore suddenly matter, and this is often where focus really breaks down. But this doesn't just happen from fasting or being busy. You get these small bursts of alertness and sudden drops that make even starting simple tasks feel like a struggle because your energy fluctuates throughout the day. And usually this comes from what you ate earlier. Processed sugars, refined carbs, or constant caffeine top-ups. These give brief alertness, but soon after, the mental fog returns and focus feels fragile. And studies have shown that rapid blood sugar changes impair attention, working memory, and executive function, basically affecting your ability to organize thoughts and stay on task. Fasting exposes this clearly, as your brain works best when energy is steady. On normal days, snacks and caffeine mask the instability, but when you're fasting or too busy to eat, those crutches disappear and the crashes become obvious. I noticed this in med school and when I started working as a doctor. Relying on quick fixes meant focus came fast but disappeared just as quickly, like going from 100 to 0 in under an hour. But once I prioritized stable energy, crashes reduced, brain fog lifted, and focusing became much easier. So when you do eat, avoid refined sugars or short-acting carbs, choose protein, fiber, and slower digesting meals to release energy gradually and keep focus steady. This will reduce the volatility that knocks your focus off track so that the structure from the first point of defining a task actually goes through. And now another reason focus drops during fasting is one people often misread. You have moments of feeling foggy, slow, or off and assume it's hunger. Especially if you've missed meals for work or during Ramadan, the explanation feels obvious. But a lot of this fog has nothing to do with calories. The real problem is often fluid levels, because even mild dehydration can impair attention and memory, and your feeling of being thirsty lags behind dehydration. So by the time you notice it, your brain's already been underpowered for hours, and long fasting stretches make this more likely. And the problem is that these fluid levels worsen the mental margin we talked about before, so now even small drops can make focus break down even faster. I noticed it in myself where without proper hydration, headaches, fog, and slowed thinking became normal. But once I prioritized fluid and electrolytes outside fasting hours, that fog reduced, focus lasted longer, and the day felt smoother. And this fix happened almost immediately. So the key is being proactive. Front load hydration and electrolytes where possible, so you're not making things more difficult than it has to be. Because when hydration is sorted, you're not fighting an invisible cognitive handicap on top of everything else against you. And just quickly before the next point, if you want one-to-one coaching with me to help with general or specific productivity issues, want advice on improving your study routine, or on how to get into med school, visit the link in the description. And for the next problem, even when hydration and energy are okay, focus can still fall apart, and that's often because of the type of work you're doing. Most people treat all tasks as if they cost the same mentally, but cognitively, that's not true. Some work is expensive: creative thinking, problem solving, writing from scratch. Other work is cheaper: reviewing notes, answering questions, or outlining and organizing information. During fasting, your capacity for high fuel work drops first, so trying complex tasks feels unusually difficult. But this is usually interpreted as you not being able to focus because you're fasting. But the real issue isn't this, it's task mismatch. Fasting doesn't stop you from working, it just narrows what you can do well. And the fix is simple: match your tasks to your energy state. Use fasting hours for structured, rule-based work. Things like revision, practice questions, or reviewing notes or organizing tasks. Save creative writing, deep learning, and complex problem solving for fed states. I learned this during fasting periods where heavy scripting felt impossible, but reviewing and outlining went smoothly. And when I was able to eat, I found it possible to do my higher energy tasks that I couldn't do before. When you align your tasks based on your energy state, you'll see fasting as working on a different operating mode rather than as a limitation, helping you maximize the time in your day to do what fits best. And the next reason focus collapses when energy is low is decision fatigue. When energy is high, your brain can tolerate lots of small choices without much cost. You can decide what to work on, how to start, and when to switch tasks without thinking twice. But when you're fasting, stressed, or mentally depleted, every decision becomes expensive. Choosing what to do first suddenly feels effortful, and deciding how to start feels unclear. And that friction alone is enough to make your brain avoid the task entirely. This is why you can feel lazy or unfocused even when the work itself isn't that hard. I noticed this on busy work days where the hardest part wasn't the work, it was deciding what to do after sitting down. When I'd come home from a work shift, I'd sit and think, what can I do now with my time? And the moment I had to think about what I should start with, my momentum dropped. So the fix here is to make fewer decisions in the moment. Spend a few minutes the night before to decide your task, the order you do them, and the point you'd stop when you've done enough. When these decisions are removed, things become much more automatic for you, even on low energy days like when you fast. And now is another reason why fasting makes focus feel unusually hard, and it's not a physical reason. It's how your brain interprets discomfort. When energy is low, your brain becomes far more threat sensitive. Small discomforts suddenly feel bigger than they actually are. Sitting down feels wrong, thinking feels heavier, and instead of pushing through, your brain looks for an escape. This is why you feel an urge to check your phone, stand up and leave, or abandon the task completely. The work is the same as what you've been doing before. It's just that your tolerance to discomfort has changed. I noticed this during fasting days where starting felt uncomfortable almost instantly. Not because the work was hard, but because my brain treated that discomfort as a warning signal. Most people misread this as poor focus or low motivation, but it's actually just reduced tolerance for friction. So the solution isn't to force yourself harder, it's to instead lower the emotional cost of starting. Have smaller targets to reach for the day and clearer endpoints. Don't pressure yourself to lock in for hours. This could be aiming to do 10 practice questions, going for a short walk, or reading a few pages of a book. Even though those things might be uncomfortable, it being bounded by these small targets and being predictable helps your brain to stop treating it as a threat, and this is going to help you focus even when energy is low. All of this is going to help you understand how to maintain focus while fasting or when you have busy work days. But the bigger problem you likely have is knowing how to maintain focus in the long term. Years ago, I used to struggle to be consistent in my academic and personal life, but I spent a lot of time trying different methods and systems to help me build consistency. And over the years, I figured out how to build consistency without relying on motivation or discipline so that I can get on with doing what's important to me. And in this video here, I talk about exactly how I did this so that you can focus on what you need to be doing too. So click the video to learn more.